Alrighty, so hello and welcome to 3 years of weightlifting PBs with the caveat that I am not a freak. Now, in the background here, we have some gorgeous Bulgarian coaches. I would have been thrown off the team long ago because I am not up to scratch. But basically, here I have every PB I've hit in the last 3 years. So let's roll the clips. Boop, and we're off. So we're starting here with, these are the lockdown chronicles. So this is January 2021, as you can see. And basically at the time, if it was raining, we were training. This is in the conservatory of my uni house. So we couldn't go overhead there wasn't room, but we could squat. And then if the weather was okay, we had this wooden board that I think we actually stole from somewhere, and some rubber pads to drop it on, and then we'd also bought some mirror fit drop pads. So we basically just trained. It was a group of us 5 lads training almost every day, and this is basically where weightlifting started for me because we didn't have any CV kit most of the time. It's because at the time I was doing CrossFit, I should have said. So no rowers, no bikes, no pull-up bar, but we did own a barbell, and we collectively owned a lot of plates and like 2 squat racks. So this is basically where I got into weightlifting. And the second video was me snatching 100 kilos for the first time, and I had been chasing that number for like 3 months. It was absolutely crushed me chasing it, and then I literally hit it like 5, 6, 7 times in the following months. It was just like all a mental thing. Following that, I worked up to my 160 kilo squat, which was in the April of 2021. That is like the biggest thing that basically always held me back until recently. And I never really pushed it further enough. My shoulders could handle a lot. My snatch, because I did it so much, was actually really good comparatively. Like I snatched 100 kilos with the heaviest I'd ever squatted as 145, which, yeah, not really the ratio you want. So, yeah, I suppose for context around this training time, after lockdown, I still basically just lifted all the time. While we were in lockdown, I snatched basically every day, like 4 to 5 days a week. And I barely clean and jerked. So after that phase, I was like, okay, we got to fix this. Now, spoiler alert, I didn't fix it. You can see like, this is 110, and I'm like struggling to clean it for a double. Now, for someone who, at this point, like I was snatching 90 like 2 times every week, and I just have such weak legs. I remember this though. I punched the rack really hard after this 115, and yeah, that really hurt. And then hear me as pause snatching 100 like the next month, which always been a snatcher. I absolutely love it. I don't love it at the moment because I suck, but when you can train it a lot, God, does it feel good. More pause snatches. This is probably one of the craziest lifts that I found going back through, is this sequence here. So I pause snatched, well, you'll see. So I just did 90 and 100, and then I pause snatched 105. At this time, I had not even full snatched 105. And we are now like 2.5 years later, and the heaviest I've ever snatched is 115. Like that 105 pause snatch still holds to this day, despite the fact that I'm like maybe 7 or 8 kilos heavier than I was back then. Now, from about July of this year, this year 2021 is around the time I started squatting every day, quote unquote. I mean, realistically, it was like 5 days a week, and I would basically go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, back squat, back squat, Thursday rest, Friday back squat, Saturday front squat. I would do like 6 to 8 sets, 2 to 3 reps, almost as heavy as I could, and it was an odd one because my lifts did get a lot better, and because I'd sort of tapered into it, I survived, and it led into like the best training block of my life, which you're going to kind of see here starting September 2021, when basically at the time I'd been watching a lot of Ilya Ilin, and I was basically just training somewhat like him, lots of snatch volume, basically loads of snatch and clean and jerk. Like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it was just snatch, clean and jerk, squat. I actually trained twice a day on those days. I would do squats, light snatches, light clean and jerks in the morning, come back in the evening and do snatch, clean and jerk. Yeah, and I made like good progress, but I did get injured at the end of this. It was kind of the beginning of the end. So 10 out of 10, do not recommend it. But yeah, it was insane. Like how good I got at the lifts in like quite a short time from just an insane amount of volume. Like I would snatch 100 to 105 every week on Fridays. I started doing block snatches, which you saw a minute ago. I'd like tripled 90 and 100 within like 2 or 3 weeks of doing this. PR'd my front squat because I was going heavy on the front squat 2 days a week. Would frequently do like, I mean, it still wasn't that impressive at the time. Like every week, I would pretty much clean and jerk like 115 to 120 or more. But then I would like almost die front squatting 130, which is as you saw there. I am so jealous of how good my split jerk was at the time. It was too deep. Like I dropped really deep into it, but like my lockout shoulder position and like split position really was pretty gorgeous. I had just had really mobile shoulders at the time. They've taken a battering since then. That is the sharpest 105 I might have ever done. And I think it's the lightest I've weighed at any point, snatching 105. Yeah, 130 clean and jerk here. At this time as well, I could just almost call what I was going to do. So this is still in that phase where just an insane amount of snatch and clean and jerk. But I would just be like, yeah, I want to clean 130. And I'll be like, maybe in like a week and a half, I'll be ready to do it. And I would like hit it on the day every day. Like I would normally know when it was going to be, if it was going to be a good or bad session, like 2 days before. 140 for 5 back squat. This again is the crazy thing. There probably aren't that many people like that snatch and clean and jerk 100 and 120 on a weekly basis, but rarely do over 120 on the back squat for 5. Like that 140 for 5 was like an anomaly day. This is the session where I exploded my ankle. I used to do waves like Ilya, so in this session I went like 90, 95, 100, 105, missed 107, back down to 100, which is on screen there, attempted 107 again, missed it. The morning of this day, I did some squats and I basically felt my posterior tibialis tendon. I had tendinopathy, like I basically just exploded it a bit. So I couldn't, like I would cry if I dorsiflexed my ankle. So that's why there's deadlifts and hang powers here. Deadlifts, hang powers, muscle cleans, strict presses, muscle snatches. I basically did that for 2 months or so. 70 kilo strict press though, as well, with it's like 60% of my clean and jerk at the time. 190 beltless deadlift. Because I'd hurt my ankle, it was like, well, I'm just going to push to get a big deadlift then. And I deadlifted twice a week and maxed it out once a week. And within 3 weeks, I hit a PB every single week. I think I went like 170, 180, 190. To be clear, I'd never really trained deadlift properly before. That right there was not really 80 kilo strict press, which again, I don't think I've done more than that now, but I've added a lot to my, like I actually had 2 strong, like all the CrossFit, I did like so much like weighted calisthenics training for that, strict handstand push-ups, all these things, so that my strict press at this time, I could strict press 80 kilos, but then I would like miss an 110 kilo jerk. So this was the lead up to snatching 110. So I decided I wanted to snatch 110 by April 2022. This is all 1 week. Monday, snatch double 100, snatch single 105. Tuesday, 100 kilo block snatch double. I did run this forward, I remember. Look at that. Wednesday, I think I snatched 105 again. Yeah, that's 100 and then 105 here. Then I rested Thursday and then hit 110 on the Friday. And I did this so many times. I think my first 95 was the same thing, where I basically went heavy all of the days of that week. And it was just like, the snatch, like fatigue, you can't really accumulate enough fatigue in 1 week to really ruin it. So I would have these weeks where I'd go like pretty heavy, multiple days on the snatch, rest, say on a Thursday, max out on a Friday, and then hit a new number. And it's just because the fatigue, I couldn't gain enough fatigue in that 1 week to mess it up, but but I was really sharp and switched on because of the amount of like heavy snatches I'd done and the familiarity I had with each weight. Again this week, like the same as, you're going to see this as a trend basically. So September 2021, insane training block, consistently snatching 100 plus, clean and jerking 115 plus, which for me at the time was like, I was basically doing 95+% every week. Exploded my ankle. April 2022, same thing. I would hit like 90% plus 2-3 days a week. Same on the clean and jerk. Hit a PR, my shoulder just like died, and that's why you don't really see any snatches here. You basically just see I PB'd my squats, and I remember this clean day was insane. I don't know what was going on. I was pretty depressed-ish, not like real depression, obviously, but that I couldn't snatch. So I actually did a workout. I didn't do any workouts at the time, like CrossFit workouts, and I did a team workout with people for like 40 minutes practicing worm stuff, because like that's the big sandbag, because we were doing a team competition. And then after it, my mate was like, oh, should we just do the cleans? And I was like, yeah, sure, I can do cleans. And I tripled 130, which is the heaviest I'd ever cleaned at the time. And I did like an easy-ish triple followed by a somewhat easy 140. I should have done 145 this day, honestly, but there we go. This is not a PB. I don't know why I put this in. Oh, I missed. Oh, that was 115. I put the wrong lift in. That was an attempt at 115 with hook grip, which, in case you hadn't noticed, all of my PBs up to this time on a snatch, I was using straps. Oh, this is another stupid phase of training. Those front squats are 3 consecutive days in a row, I'm pretty sure. I did like 140, 150, 155, and then I died re-racking this because I basically blacked out. Snatches are back. 100 kilo triple. This phase here, June 2022, I think this is actually the last really good weightlifting block I had, and I did so much volume. I was doing 5s on the snatch on Monday and Wednesday, and I actually got up to doing 80 kilos for sets of 5 on the low hang snatch. And then on Fridays, I would work up to a heavy triple. And it got really good. Now, weirdly, the shoulder injury I talked about earlier, that I basically ruined my snatch, for some reason, stopped affecting my snatch, but I couldn't put the bar overhead in the jerk, which is not amazing news because the jerk is by far my worst lift, and I just couldn't really practice it because it really hurt. And I used it as an excuse to not practice it and just push the snatch again. So this is the same phase of training, going for a 105 triple. At the time, I have a 110 snatch. So what are we looking at? Like 95% almost for a triple with hook grip as well. Really fast and crispy. I remember thinking, oh my life, this is the one. I am going to snatch 120 this block, because that's the number I've basically been chasing ever since I did 100 kilos. I was like, 120 is next. Like, I did chase 110 as well, but 120 was the number in mind, and I basically just fried my body over and over again. But yeah, so that phase of training was going really well with the triples, and I ended up really hurting my hip, so I couldn't squat and I couldn't clean, but for some reason snatches didn't hurt. So did I train like a tool again? You betcha. I maxed out my snatch every day in a row until I hit this 115. So I maxed my snatch basically 5 days a week, 2 weeks in a row, which led to me hitting that 115, which was really sloppy. And I was like, oh, this is a perfect time to train like the Bulgarians. Now, if you haven't seen that video, I did actually recently post it. I don't think that 100 kilo power snatch there, one of my favorite lifts. And that's about the only PB I hit while training like the Bulgarians for 3 months, other than the 115 that I hit in like the first 3 weeks. So yeah, all of this is then basically at this time I was in an extreme amount of pain. My shoulders really hurt, my hip really hurt, my knees surprisingly were fine, my back was fine, and I think one day I basically was just like, no, I can't keep doing this, because I was hitting like 110 plus 3 days a week on the snatch, but my max wasn't going anywhere. And I remember the one day I was like, yeah, it's over, I'm done. And it was such a weird flip of the switch, because the day before I had missed 100 kilos like 3 times, but the next day I like missed 70. It was like that switch of mindset really did kind of mess me up. Like, I know people will be like, oh, you've just got to push hard and stay in the game, and they're like kind of right, because the second I was like, I can't handle this, I suddenly couldn't handle like anything, and I was missing 70 kilo snatches. But they are also kind of wrong, because I just dug myself into such a hole, and I haven't really properly pushed weightlifting since then, which is August 2022. So you saw me hit a big snatch and hang snatch there at Psych Weightlifting, and that was a really good day. But then other than that, I basically just had been rehabbing injuries all this remaining time. 85 kilo strict press though. Took me, what's that? It's like a whole year to add another 5 kilos to it. Some very easy squats. Basically the moral of my entire 3 years of training is I just trained too hard, and I could have made a lot more progress if I didn't, but I get overexcited and do too much and injure myself. This is the year of the squat, 2023, 165 front squat. That was insane. I think I almost died on this. Oh, yeah, I thought it was going to smash my teeth into the thing. 145 clean. Again, one on all competition. So easy to stand up. I remember doing that and thinking, for fuck's sake, why don't you just not injure yourself all the time? Look at how easily you just cleaned 145 kilos. Imagine what you could clean and jerk if you just trained consistently without murdering yourself. Anyway, I then went on holiday for many months, and we're pretty much catching up with real time now. This was the squat area, September, October, November 2023. Shoulder's still injured, that's right, 2 years later, so it kind of hurts. It's getting better, but it kind of hurts still. So I pushed the squat all the way up to 200 kilos. This was my heaviest set of 5, 170. I just got, again, it's like what I talked about with the snatch, doing it every day, like how sharp and switched on you were. I did that with the squat here. Not sensible, and you've noticed that. But, I mean, just look at, not to toot my own horn, how consistent and good the positions are. Even when I failed that one, basically just because I was scared. But even there, the positions are so consistent until I hit 200 kilos, which is here. So, yeah, like the high frequency, it really does something for technique, it must be said. And then that big back squat basically led to my front squat feeling absolutely absurd. And I think this is coming up on the final PB. It must be. We've got 25 seconds of lifts left. So this year, 2024, I am going to train like less of a tool. And I'm going to actually hit some big numbers. I'm going to listen to my body a bit more. And like just because things are feeling good, I don't need to do more. And just you wait and see. I'm going to do some monstrous things, because all of these squats basically show what can be done if I let myself recover. Because all of this squatting phase that you guys have seen over the last 3 months leading up to that 200 kilo squat is basically because I dropped most of my volume, because I was just doing squats and accessories. That volume for me is so low, I actually recovered, I actually smoked things. I just need to do a similar thing with the lifts. Slowly build up volume, but like, it's okay to snatch once or twice a week until you're able to snatch 3 times a week. You don't need to start at 3 times a week and go to 5 times a week. Anyway, hopefully that was somewhat enjoyable. I'm sure maybe not as enjoyable as watching Zlatan Vanev here absolutely blitzing some 50 kilos, but some realistic weightlifting progress for people. It is slow. The sport does hurt, and you should probably get a coach, because I've done an excellent job of coaching other people, but just cannot be objective when it comes to coaching myself. And that has resulted in me being almost persistently injured for the last 3 years and just making suboptimal progress. Yeah. If you want to get the squat program that I use to squat 200 kilos, I will link that in the description. And you guys all have a fantastic day.